Hi guys, let's do count elements with maximum frequency. So we're given an array nums consisting of positive integers, and they want us to return the total frequencies of elements in nums such that those elements all have the maximum frequency. And the frequency of an element is the number of occurrences of the element in the array. So if we look at these examples, in this one we have nums equals this array and we output 4 because elements 1 and 2 both have a frequency of 2, so we have 2 1s and 2 2s. So that's the maximum number of frequency in the array. So the number of elements in the array with this maximum frequency of 2 is 4 because there's 2 1s and 2 2s. So then we add the number of those up to get 4. And then in this one we have 5 because all of the elements of the array have a frequency of 1, which is the maximum. So the number of elements in the array with maximum frequency is 5, right? So for this one, we want to create a hash map again where we store every single number that we encounter as we iterate through the nums array. And then we also map that number to the count of that number as we encounter it. So if our input is that and our output is 4, I'm just going to use this as an example, then when we iterate through this array, then what our map is going to look like as we build it out is, so first we're going to run into this 1 and we don't have a 1 yet, so we're going to add the 1 and map it to 1 because we've seen 1 so far. And then when we get to 2, we don't have a 2, so we're going to add 2 and map it to 1. And then when we get to this 2, we already have a 2, so we're just going to increment this by 1. And then for 3, we don't have a 3 yet, so we're going to map 3 to 1. And then we do have a 1 already, so we're just going to increment that to 2. And then for 4, we do not have a 4 yet, so we're just going to map 4 to 1. And then we have reached the end of nums, and that's it. So this is what our map would look like for this array. Okay, so now let's get started. So we're going to initialize a hash map. And then we are going to loop through the nums array. And then for every single number, we're just going to add, so if we don't have that number yet, we're going to add it to the map with a count of 1. And if we do have it already, we're just going to increment the value by 1. So okay, so that's going to build out our map to look like that for this example. And then once we have that, then we're going to want to loop through the values of our map so that we can keep track of what our maximum frequency is. So we're going to initialize a max to just 0. And then when we loop through the values of the map, then we're going to update the max if we come across a number that's greater than it. So let's say like count, because it's like the count of each number. And then we're going to loop through the values. And then if that count is greater than max, then we're going to update the max. Okay, so then that's going to update our max here. And then once we have the max, then we're going to want to loop through the keys of the map, because that way we, if we're going to check if the value of the key matches our maximum, then we're going to have a running sum for the frequency, and then we're going to add this to the frequency. So we're going to have a frequency variable also at 0, and then we're going to loop through the keys. So, and then we want to check if let's do that so we can actually see what we're doing here. If the count is equal to max, then our frequency, we're going to plus equals the or I guess we could just say max because they're the same thing. Okay, and then at the very end, we're just going to return our frequency. So let's see. Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so our time is O of n, where n is number of elements in nums. And then, okay, first let's go through why. So our algorithm here loops through every single number in nums so that we can add them all with their counts into our map. So here we're already looping through every single element in nums, which is O of n. And then here we are looping through the values of the map, which worst case, if every single number is unique, like in this example down here, then that's also O of n. And then down here, we're looping through every single key in the map, so every single number, or unique number, I guess, which worst case would also be O of n if it's all unique numbers. So that's why our time is O of n. And then our space is also O of n, where basically because we have this hash map. And so again, like worst case, if every single number is unique, then we're storing every single number in this hash map, which would be O of n. And that's our only data structure. So that's it for this problem. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what problem I should do next. Bye.